At Goodrich in for Elizabeth, we start with a live look at Oakland, where just hours ago, former California Senator Barbara Boxer fell victim to a street crime. KPIX5's Daw Lynn just spoke with her about the attack, and he's live in Jack London Square. What did she say, Daw?
A street crime. They working the kinks out. They trying to figure out a way to something to call these things without making it. It's tough, man. And these people work at the news station. I feel that they're not like me. And even if they were, they wouldn't tell the truth. But they come up with all these buzzwords in the production room. We're gonna call it this. We're gonna call it that. Well, they don't like it when we call it this, so we gotta try this. And they're working it out. They're trying to figure out something to call it, to make it, to sanitize it, to make it not as bad as it is. A street crime. No. A young POC thug beat the brakes off of a 70-year-old woman in broad daylight. There, I fixed it.
Hours ago, former California Senator Barbara Boxer fell victim to a street crime. KPIX5's Daw Lynn just spoke with her about the attack, and he's live in Jack London Square. What did she say, Daw?
Yeah, Juliet, we just talked to Barbara Boxer about 30 minutes ago. She is shaken up, but she is doing okay physically. I want to show you some pictures that we got from a witness earlier today. She was robbed at the corner of 3rd Street and Harrison Street near Jack London Square around 1:15 p.m. Now, because the suspect took her brand new iPhone that she just bought 2 days ago, she walked a couple of blocks away from the crime scene to the Verizon store to call for police and waited for the police inside the store. She says it was 2 kids. Those teenagers appear to be under 18 years old, one a driver and one an attacker. Now, when we interviewed her in person, she did not want her face to be shown. Here's what she said about the attack.
They pushed you to the ground? Well, he pushed me very hard. It's hard for me to describe what happened because it was so fast, but when I started to move away from him, he came behind me, pushed me hard, and then before I could fall, almost like he grabbed my phone in the front. So it's just hard to put it all together.
Did you hit the ground?
I did not hit the ground. I'm not hurt physically at all. I'm just shook up. And I said to them after this, I said, why would you do this to a grandma? I was yelling at the kid as he was running with my phone. I said, I want to call my grandkids. Why are you doing this? I mean, he could care less. He got in the car, but I hope he has some guilt.
I do not feel sorry for this woman one bit. If they catch these kids, she's going to try to not prosecute them. They're going to get some kind of alternative thing and then go get out and do it to somebody else and probably kill them. She's trying everything she can to make it seem like it's not really what it was. She's trying her best to be that woke, because this is how bad wokeness is. If you're attacked by some sun teens, describing the attack truthfully makes you racist. Do y'all understand that? If you're a part of the woke brigade and you're attacked by some sun teens, describing the attack truthfully makes you prejudiced, stereotyping. She, of course, not going to tell the description, but everyone already knows who did it, which also... I mean, that's just like the elephant in the room. The fact that we all know who did this. Like, no one thinks in a city that's 6% sun people San Francisco, 6% Sun people. And everyone knows who did this. Think about that. Throw out everything you learned in math class or statistics. Everything you learned in school about probabilities. Throw it all out the window. Everyone knows that someone from 6% of San Francisco's population did this. Wow.
Yeah, Boxer is 80 years old. She retired from the U.S. Senate in 2017. Now, the car, she says, the suspect's car is a black car, and a police source tells me it's believed to be an Audi. That car was also linked to several other robberies today, so they believe it's connected, and they're still looking for those two suspects, and it is believed, and also former Senator Boxer believes those folks did not know who she was. Perhaps it was just a crime of opportunity.
So they're trying to find the suspects. Well, we the public want to help you. You always ask, especially in our community in the Sun Belt, in Blackistan, you're always asking us, you need people to help. We need the community's help. We can't do this on our own. Okay, we want to help you. Can you give us a description on the suspects? Wait, don't answer that. We already know. And the fact that you didn't give us a description already lets us know. See, I grew up hearing a lot about how the news, they always trying to paint a brother like, and you know, as you guys know, some people just say things. It doesn't matter if it has any truth. It doesn't matter if it's the opposite of the truth. But I grew up hearing the news media, you know, they always trying to play a black man. Literally, it's the opposite. When it's one of us, they don't give the description, and that is the giveaway that it was one of us. Wow.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you. Appreciate your report and that she was speaking out so quickly. All right. Well, that robbery playing out just down the street from Chinatown, where just hours before the Oakland Police Chief, the FBI, and the Alameda County District Attorney announced new efforts to tackle crime.
The idea that our most marginalized community, our seniors, would be walking down the street and be accosted and assaulted and robbed is clearly unacceptable. Somebody knows these individuals who are responsible for these crimes, and we hope that they feel it's important, a civic duty, to report them.
Brother police chief in a 94% non-Sun town. That shows you the level of wokeness in this town. For years they had a mayor, Willie. Y'all know Willie. Just a woke town, man. Then they had a prosecutor, Kamala. Or Kamala. You know her. You might have heard of her. It's a very woke town. They love their Sun folk there. And it's breaking their hearts that their city is being turned into Chicago, New York, New Orleans, D.C. by 6% of the population. Oh, wow.
After being mugged in broad daylight, former Senator Barbara Boxer is speaking out after being attacked in Oakland's Jack London Square. As we first reported here yesterday, someone pushed Boxer and then yanked her cell phone out of her hand as she was walking in Jack London Square around 1 p.m. yesterday afternoon. Today, Boxer says the male who attacked her looked young enough to be a teenager. Boxer says she was not physically harmed, but shaken up.
You can't just come up to a little old lady and smash her down to the ground. I mean, that's just not right. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I've spoken to the mayor. I've spoken to Congresswoman Lee. I feel very optimistic that change is coming.
That's one of their signature tricks, going up to a little old lady and smashing her down to the ground. And I thought you didn't fall, but whatever. You know, the more she talks, the more the truth comes out. But that's one of their main tricks. The weak, the vulnerable communities, the disenfranchised. You lucky they wasn't playing a knockout game. But you say we got a lot of work to do. I'm tired of these politicians, and hit one of you with me, trying to put it on us. We have a lot of work to do. What you mean we got a lot of work to do? You got more programs in that city, more funding, more resources aimed at these troubled populations than some country's whole national gross product. And this is just one city, San Francisco. For 6% of the population, millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars for this, for that, for this and that, diversionary, this, programs, rec centers, recreation, housing, food, shelter. Everything. Violence interrupters. Millions and millions of dollars. And then you get clunked upside the head and robbed for your cell phone in broad daylight. And you gonna tell us, the taxpayers, that we have more work to do. Are you kidding?
I'm really saddened by this experience because here is a grandma alone on her phone and two young people attack.
I just knew that she was shaking, very scared, traumatized, just in distress, emotional distress. So I just was here just to help her, get her water or whatever she needed.
A police source tells me the teens were involved in several other burglaries and attacks. Police believe the robbery was a crime of opportunity since Boxer's iPhone was worth more than $1,000.
Actual physical assaults in this neighborhood are just so rare. Very sad to hear that happened to her. I respect her a lot.
Boxer retired in 2017, but she says she's still working behind the scenes to advocate for young people.
There's not one silver bullet, okay? It's a host of things we have to do to give our kids, hope in the future, to give them opportunity, the education, the jobs, all of those things, the after school, but also when they step out of line, go after them.
Dawn, did she have a message for the suspects? And also, did the police release any more information?
Right, she says if she were to meet those two teenage boys again, she would ask them why. Why attack a senior citizen, a grandmother? Now, police did not release any descriptions.
Why attack a grandmother? I told you, she want them to go free so they can go knock some other grandmother upside the head a week later, and she have a heart attack and die on the scene. And then Barbara will be like, oh, okay. They probably need to go to boot camp or something. I'm telling you, man, if she had her druthers, she would not prosecute these kids.
Now, police did not release any descriptions of these two teenage boys. They're still looking for them. Juliet?
All right, Dawn, thank you.
A spokesperson for Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf says that the mayor was deeply troubled to learn of the assault and the robbery of Senator Boxer today. She spoke with the senator's family to extend her well wishes for a speedy recovery and was relieved to learn that she was not seriously injured.
Tonight, Oakland police searching for the person who assaulted and robbed former Democratic Senator Barbara Boxer. The former senator, who was 80 years old, says she was walking by herself. Then someone came up, pushed her in the back, stole her cell phone, and then jumped into a car. And all of this happened in broad daylight.
Up front now, the former Democratic Senator Barbara Boxer. And Senator, I'm so glad that you're okay. It's a really terrifying and upsetting thing to have happen, daylight, walking down the street. I mean, can you tell me what you experienced? What exactly happened?
Yes, I can. First, I just want to say we've had a place in Oakland since 2005, and we love it. And we've never had a hint of any kind of problem. Jack London Square is beautiful by the bay, wonderful restaurants, wonderful greenery. And so I wanted to say that. But this day was a different day for me, and so unexpected and so scary, because I was on the phone with some business partners talking about some issues, and I wanted to get to a quiet street so that people wouldn't hear all the noise in the background. And obviously, there were a couple of guys who were waiting to find an old lady with a new cell phone. And literally, that's what they wanted. And
think about how casually she says that. Now, right now, they have it up to where the Congress is talking about the violence at the Capitol. Literally, what happened to her is more violence than happened to any non-police officer at the Capitol. I even bet these guys had a gun. They probably didn't need it, but I bet they had a gun. And that would be one more gun than anybody had at the Capitol. Just think about this. Not one staffer, page, congressman, senator had a finger laid on them. Not one. AOC wasn't even in the vicinity. She was 6 blocks away when she talked about how she was scared for her life. More violence happened to this woman in that few seconds than any non-police officer during the Capitol riots. And nothing really happened to any of the police officers, because the lie that Officer Brad Sicknick was beat to death with a fire extinguisher, that's been debunked by the mainstream media. Just think about that. And think about CNN, who has to start reporting on this stuff. Like, this happens all the time in Oakland, San Francisco. Earlier, I gave you the stats for Oakland. Earlier I gave you the stats for San Francisco. 6%. Actually, Oakland is about 20%. Sun people. So that's like, once it's 20%, when it's 20%, it might as well be 100%. So that's just, she was tripping, going around looking for a quiet, dark street, but a non-busy street to be on. But CNN's tried their best to ignore this. Even when the kids of politicians, I've done several stories on family members and kids of politicians being assaulted and robbed and even killed this year. They ignored that. Now politicians are starting to get it, and they can't ignore that.
Yes, I can. First, I just want to say we've had a place in Oakland since 2005, and we love it. And we've never had a hint of any kind of problem. Jack London Square is beautiful by the bay, wonderful restaurants, wonderful greenery. And so I wanted to say that. But this day was a different day for me, and so unexpected and so scary, because I was on the phone with some business partners talking about some issues, and I wanted to get to a quiet street so that people wouldn't hear all the noise in the background. And obviously, there were a couple of guys who were waiting to find an old lady with a new cell phone. And literally, that's what they wanted. And so one of them kind of stopped me. I didn't think much of it. he got in the car and I thought, okay, he's leaving. But then the other fellow jumped out of the car and started to run toward me, and I started to run away. And he essentially, sort of at the same time, slammed me in the back, grabbed my phone because my hand obviously let go of the phone. My earphones fell on the ground. And more than anything else, I was shaking. I've never been so surprised, and it was so fast, and I was just not ready. I was stunned, and they were young. That's what's so upsetting.
So, the Oakland police chief recently was talking to me, and he was saying he's extremely worried about the rise in crime. Now, obviously, you're talking about a very upsetting incident, a petty crime. But of course, as petty crimes rise, more serious crimes have as well. Homicides, 69% increase in Oakland from a year ago. Assaults with a gun, 58% increase. Robberies up, such like you experienced, actually only, I put that in quotes, only up 14%.
Hold on, Aaron. Whoa. You called what happened to her a petty crime, and then 13 seconds later, you said robberies, like what happened to you, are only, and I put that in quotation marks, up 14%. So, Aaron, a robbery is now a petty crime, according to Aaron Burnett. Wow.
From a year ago, assaults with a gun, 58% increase. Robberies up, such like you experienced, actually only, I put that in quotes, only up 14%. Senator, the reason I give these numbers is to put it in context, because the Oakland City Council just voted to move $18 million away from the police department to other programs, mental health programs, other things, but away from the police department. And former President Trump seized on this. He said today, in light of what happened to you and that defunding, our once great cities like New York, Detroit, San Francisco, and so many others have become a paradise for criminals because of Democrats. What do you say to that in the context of what is happening in Oakland?
Trump seized on that. No, Trump spoke on that. Why do you have to use such violent language when it comes to Trump? He seized on that. He's using this like, it's obvious. Did you see the stat you just read? Murder's up 60-something%. Assaults up. Robberies, which are petty crimes now, are up. The fact that robbery is now a petty crime lets you know everything you need to know, Aaron. And no one's more responsible for defund the police than you. And Don and Anderson and Poppy and Brett and Wolf and Chris Cuomo, everybody down there.
Well, first I want to say this former President Trump has a horrible record when he was president. The murder rate went way up under Trump. Crimes with guns went way up, and hate crimes under Trump surged 20%. So he has literally no standing. And let me just say how I feel. I feel we need more money for community policing. We need more officers on the street.
She won't say that. Yes, murder went up under the Trump administration. But guess what happened? The Blackistadian spring in the spring of 2020, where all the numbers in every city just instantly skyrocketed once the police were defunded, once the police were basically neutered. It had to stand back. Once there were 9,000 BLM riots from May 26th to December 31st of 2020. That's 9,000 riots. So, yes, technically, that surge in crime that happened after the Floyd incident did happen under President Trump. But it's very disingenuous to place that at his feet, to sit that in his lap, and to attribute that to him and his policies. It's very disingenuous when we know he was roundly criticized for wanting to send the National Guard into Chicago and for sending the National Guard into Kansas City and other cities like that. So it's very, very disingenuous. Very slick game she just played right there. A lot of CNN viewers won't catch that, but I wanted to make sure that y'all here caught that.
Well, first I want to say this former President Trump has a horrible record when he was president. The murder rate went way up under Trump. Crimes with guns went way up, and hate crimes under Trump surged 20%. So he has literally no standing. And let me just say how I feel. I feel we need more money for community policing. We need more officers on the street. We need them to be from the community, by the community, for the community. And I worked on that issue many years ago when I was a county supervisor. Community policing works because you've got to make relationships with these young people. And, you know, somebody asked me the other day, if you had a chance, Barbara, to say something to these young kids who did this to you, what would you say? And it came pretty quickly. And it was, how could you hurt someone who has the potential to love you?
And there you have it. How could you hurt someone who has the potential to love you? This country is in danger. Okay? We're in danger. And her mentality is the same mentality that the Squad has and all those far left liberals that have taken over this country. Now, she's not going to go back and put herself in proximity to some people anymore. And she's going to keep her head on a swivel when she's anywhere, like, where they might be. Like, not even where they are, where anywhere they may be, she's going to keep her head on a swivel. And she's going to walk around terrified because this gives you PTSD. I mean, come on. The little old lady get robbed in broad daylight, she's going to have some PTSD from that. She may even go to counseling. But she's still going to be wokety woke politically. And her little mentees and people that she, advises that are current politicians, they're going to see this and they're going to adopt. They're going to, basically, there's not anything for them to do. They already think like this. She's just basically showing us what they think. And we in really, 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 really deep doo-doo dealing with these politicians because love ain't going to do it. A little savage, self-proclaimed goon, thug, demon. They call themselves demons. They don't even call themselves thugs no more. Thugs is like so 2006. Calling them a thug is basically like coming out the house with like a triple X white tee on and like some triple baggy jeans and a headband or something. Like, literally, it's like so 06. With like a flip phone. Like, literally, they call themselves demons now. So, I don't think that love's going to do it, Barbara.